You'll make me the host.
Yes. Okay, we are live on YouTube now.
Okay. All right. So you make me the host and then.
Yes, I have made you the host.
All right.
Okay, so now I'll leave.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll set that up and I'll join again.
Yeah.
In how much time? What time is the session going to be? Do
It's
you ping me just 5 minutes before this ends or something?
Yeah, I
Is
will
that
ping
okay?
you in any case. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That sounds good. Okay. Okay. Sure. Yep. Bye.
All right. Bye. Hello and welcome everyone. Our session will begin in about 10 minutes, so stay tuned. Hi, Nilanjana.
Hi, how are you?
How
Good
are
to
you?
see you.
I'm good. Good
How
to
are you
see you as
feeling?
well.
How are
I'm
you
good.
feeling?
I'm good. I'm a lot
BP under
better.
control. We're not live as yet, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Because Namrata had to the session with Ekta, we are doing it through her platform, through StreamYard.
Okay.
So
Right,
because
right.
streaming from, but it's fine, Yeah.
Little chit chat.
I like to make people see, that we're the effort and all the things that go, the behind the scenes kind of thing as well. But thank you so much, Niranjana, for yeah. Let's keep
If you
it
say thank you
casual and
one more, if you say thank you one more time, I might just leave the meeting.
No.
I can't hear you.
It's always good to thank friends.
That is
Okay.
true.
It's always good to say
Hmm.
thanks to friends because you need to appreciate them more because of the effort they make for you. So, and to know how much they're cherished. So, yeah. So,
No, thank
yes.
you for having me.
So we
I
can
love
begin.
having Sam.
Uh,
Sure.
yeah, yeah. No,
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 I was just saying
we
thank you
cannot do
for
without.
having me. I think there's a lag, right? A little bit of a lag.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I hope. Uh, Otherwise, I will just switch on my data. Can you hear me properly now? A little bit lag
Yeah,
is fine, but not too much.
yeah, I can.
Yeah. Wait, let me just open the door. Maybe I'm being very non-techie at the moment. I'll open the door and the Wi-Fi
The way
waves will wait.
the Wi-Fi waves will rush in.
Exactly. All right, great. So we can begin.
Sure.
All right. Hello and welcome everyone to the fourth edition of Ananke's Women in Literature Festival. I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome Nilanjana Bhumik, a friend, an ally, and an amazing award-winning author, writer, journalist. Welcome, Nilanjana.
Thank you so much, Sabine. It's great to be back here.
Nilanjana, while I will introduce you, I would like you to talk about, your journey as well. And I've pulled up your bio. So I'll just, start by saying that Nilanjana Bhumik's career started as a news producer of BBC World Service's flagship current affairs show, The World Today. She was also a staff correspondent with Time magazine and reported from South Asia. She was also an editor on the English language desk of Agency EFE EPA, a Spanish news agency. As an independent, she has continued to report for Time, including two cover stories, as well as written and reported for a host of other prestigious media publications, such as National Geographic, The Guardian, Washington Post, New Internationalist, Reuters AlertNet, BBC Outlook, Panos, Radiolab, NPR, Voice of America, Christian Science Monitor, Financial Times, Business Insider, TED Talks, Daily Beast, and so on. She is, uh, Nilanjana, tell me, she is currently an editor with UN Women and a senior journalist advisor South Asia at the Journalism Center on Global Trafficking. Her debut nonfiction book, Lies Our Mother Told Us, was published to wide critical acclaim and popular acclaim in July 2022. This book went into a reprint within a month of its release. Brava. The book examines the condition of Indian women overburdened with unpaid caregiving, including housework, struggling to find a balance and remain sane. She has conducted over 200 interviews for this book with women from different states, spread over 4 years. And today we also talk about her new book, How Not to Be a Superwoman. So welcome, Nilanjana.
Hello.
So Nilanjana, talk to us about your journey as a writer, as a journalist, and an author as well.
I mean, if you had asked me to write about it, it would probably have been easier. But
Absolutely.
like all journeys, I think, my journey has also been lots of, lots of ups and downs. But a lot of downs, to be honest with you, I mean, in the sense that, but I think, as women, all of us face that. We have, so much of pressure. Some of it is self-imposed. Some of it is imposed by society, societal norms. When we step out to work, we are still, fighting.
We'll be back. There's some technical issues.
Apologies, I got disconnected.
That's absolutely fine. This is
Yeah.
technology, and we shouldn't be, too worried about it.
Yeah, I mean, somebody was calling me and the Zoom call just dropped. I don't know how to stop the calls while I'm in a meeting till now. I think I should have put the DND on, but well, too late for that. Hopefully, no more interruptions. So yeah, so I was talking about my journey, and I think, uh, uh, I think, the key word, like of my journey, and I don't think, I am very innovative in this, as I already said, practically every women, especially in, from South Asia or from patriarchal countries, even, in the West, it's a huge struggle for women to get somewhere, that it requires a lot of and I hate this word because it's used so much, with regards to women, resilience and courage and all of that, to just be able to achieve, a quarter of your potential. So I think, I started out, I was always interested in writing. When my first piece was published, I remember still that we used to have this very prestigious newspaper called the Statesman in Kolkata, and so our parents used to make us read that to learn to write good English. So that was the benchmark of that newspaper. And I remember they had invited people to submit what India means to like them, like in an essay. And I remember, I wrote a poem, and that was one of the, I think it won the second or the third spot or something, and that was the first time I saw my writing in print. It was thrilling, to say the least, uh, because I come from a very, very middle class family. My mother was a cop. My father worked in the private sector, so we didn't really have any writers or journalists in our family. So that, I think, kind of, started me out on that path, because seeing my name in print was such a, it gave me such a rush, and I was always interested in writing. So I started out by writing poetry, actually. And I never wanted to be a journalist. I was studying English, and I would tell everybody that, I am not, I can do anything, but I'm not going to be a journalist. And I have no idea why I didn't want to be a journalist, but I think, it was because when you study English, people take it for granted that, you are going to, go into journalism. But anyway, at a certain point of time, I also came to the same realization that, to make good use of my degree and my love for writing, I think, journalism was the only way forward for me. So that's, how I came into journalism. And I started out as a radio journalist in the UK. And when I came back home to India, radio is not really big in India. FM is, but serious news radio. So I was, working with the BBC in London. So then, I joined a newspaper because I wanted to, understand, how print worked. And I worked there for 1.5 years, and I learned, page making and everything, And that's when, like I actually got into the print media. And then, like it's something I had always wanted to do. While I was working in the UK, I used to really just dream of being back home, and reporting on, our country is like, our countries are so interesting in terms of, because, at that was the, initial stages of development. So many things were happening, and there was so much to, like blow the lid off, so to say. There were so many things to investigate. There were
That's
so
the
many
journalist in
stories.
you.
Yeah, and so many stories to tell, so many stories, which were not being told. Because, I think, media at that point of time, even like, I think it was the same with, all South Asian countries. They were looked, stories only, made sense if they were exotic, or, like which, some, poverty related stuff or something. But, our countries go so much, like are so much more than that. There's so much more to, like explore, and so much more to examine. So I think, like that's what, like started me out. And the book, was really an accident, in the sense that I was always into writing, but fiction and poetry. So mainly, I wrote poetry. And then, I, started writing my first novel. And in between, I had written um, an opinion piece for the Washington Post about, why feminism has left, a lot of women behind in India. And an US agent, like was interested in that, and she got in touch with me, and she told me that, I can see a book in there. And even then I was like, a book? I was like, I was really not ready to commit to nonfiction, because it's an exhausting process. And especially for somebody like me, I am completely obsessed with research and facts, and so for me, it's a very, very grueling process. But anyway, as I started talking to her, the book started taking shape in my head. Um, and it didn't work out with her, because obviously the story was very, very India centric, and I didn't want to, like it was not a global story, it was a a very, very Indian women's lives, kind of story. So anyway, that was she started me on that path. And then I tried selling that book. That book was rejected by everybody, every publisher in India, all the big publishers, rejected it, till Aleph saw that that could be a very important book, and they treated it as a very important book. And so I'm very grateful for that. So, and then that's it, and once that book was out, again I was not really thinking of doing another nonfiction. But then, I was just talking to a friend, and I was just telling them that, I'm a long time back, I wrote this manifesto about, how, not to be a superwoman. And it was like a 2-page manifesto, it was literally like, like do this and do those, do's and don'ts, like. And he was like, I think, there's a book in this. And I was like, really? Okay. And then he said, why don't you, like pitch it to me? And I was really excited, because, that was like something, that I really wanted to do, because I felt like, it would be fun to, like, delve into that. But also, after my first book, a lot of my readers, messaged me saying, okay, so you have told us, like about the problems, but what are the solutions? I mean, obviously, one book can't have everything in it. So I said, I mean, this was actually my way of addressing that, delving into, like some of the major like problems that we face as women, and just figuring out how women were dealing with it, because there are as I keep saying that we can learn so much from each other. We are not doing that. We are still kind of we still feel like we are alone in this, but we are not. Everybody is on their own island, but suffering from the same set of problems. And I think I was trying to crowdsource some interviews on Twitter and X now, and somebody came and said to me that, wow, the replies to your thread is so amazing, because I thought I was the only one who was doing this. And that was such an eye-opening moment for me, that I mean, this is 2024, and even now, women feel like, they actually do not have like a community, that they feel like they're the only ones doing it. So I think, again, to just, wrap this back, to the question you asked. So I think, like starting from, a very young teenager, who wanted to be a writer, I think I have come a very long way, and I have done so many things in my life, and I think they have all enriched me in very many ways. When I was studying in the UK, so I was always, so I always worked, alongside my studies, and I have worked in so many positions. Like, I used to work as a telephone operator, and that, actually taught me a telephone manner, and that have been very helpful to me as a journalist, because, I mean, I have not, in my 22 years of career, it has never happened that I have called someone for an interview and they have said no. So, then, I used to, hand out, pamphlets in Marks and Spencer. I have, worked as an, the English language examiner. So I have done, like all of these things. And, but all of those, the various jobs that I've done, they've all added to my journey and made me the person that I am today. I think, again, I remember I studied a hotel management for a little while, and we started our classes, they were, teaching us, how to do beds and all of that. And somebody asked that, but, when we graduate, we are going to be managers, right? So why do we need to know how to make beds and how to clean the drains and whatever, And then he said that, like, to manage people, you have to know what they're doing, right? So I think, that incident stayed with me, and which is why I have always, tried to train myself in new and newer things, because, they all add to the experience you are trying to have. And again, as an author, what are you really doing? You are penning down your own experience. You are penning down other people's experiences, it's like, life comes full circle, when you're writing. So yeah, I think I've had a very interesting journey. Nothing very unusual, but interesting, for me, for my sense of, I'm not a very adventurous person, but even for me, I have, like, I feel like, I have done, I have taken very, odd risks with my life. But I have always landed on my feet. And I think, like, that is also a skill that life teaches you, especially women, like how to land on your feet, because so many disappointments, like just standing in, around the next corner, the next corner, the next corner. So yeah, I would say I have had an interesting journey.
Absolutely. I think it is an interesting journey. And, all these life experiences, distributing pamphlets or, telephone operator, I think, this is, these are great learning experiences that make you who you are. So I absolutely agree with you. And as a storyteller, that's like a bonus thing. That's the cherry on the top. So
Yeah.
absolutely. I want to now focus on your, recently published book, and this term of superwoman, and how we as women are put on a pedestal and also not on the pedestal. So can you talk about that?
I think, I started this conversation in my first book as to, how the term superwoman is is an imposition by, patriarchy. It's like, you have been given this medal of a superwoman, and now, you've accepted it. You have even, been socialized to feel very proud about it, that, you can do everything. I think, it's a trap you can't escape, because but also, like at a certain level, you also know that it is a trap, but you also know that it is a price that you pay for being a woman. Actually, it's a woman tax. I think, super being a superwoman is a woman tax. You just pay it because, as a woman, you have been allowed to, do certain things, to step out of the house, to work. Never mind that when you work, you are actually benefiting your own family. So it's not like, you are it's something that is like just yours, like the money is for the family, right? Whatever you earn. So I think, like uh, we know that it is a trap. We know that, this is the woman tax that we are paying, for being allowed the empowerment, economic empowerment, whatever. But since you are socialized right from childhood, that your greater role in a family is to provide care, that you are the nurturer. So I think, it is a very hard cycle to break, because, popular culture doesn't make it easy on us. We are always being bombarded by the images of the ideal mother, the ideal, daughter, the ideal, wife. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like we have started the journey towards maybe recognizing it, but it is still not enough. We are still bogged down by it, and it requires such a cultural shift, and in social norms. And maybe the next generation will be able to do it better, because they are much more aware of this, because of course, the world is a global village now. And thanks to, all this Netflix shows and all of this, I mean, I think, um, it's not like the situation in the West is any better. I think, even women, like American women have been talking about the superwoman syndrome, since like the 70s. They're still talking about it. So you can imagine how much time it takes, to even get to where, say, for example, the US or the UK has gone to, or, like any Western countries have, so-called developed countries have gotten to. So I think, but it is good that our children are exposed to that, at least, that semblance of equality. So I hope that it will take, like at least, 4, 5, 6 generations, like for this to happen, if at all. But I hope, that the process has already started.
I hope so as well. Um, I want to move on to this thing that, I have also experienced, which is, and as much as I would like to claim that this is a term I have coined, as much as I would like to, there's this thing that I call selective wokeness, right? And it reminds me of that this scene from Dil Dhadakne Do, where Priyanka Chopra's husband said that I have allowed my husband, look at me, I'm so liberal and I'm so woke, right? So how do we, this narrative of allowing a woman to work, see, it can be a collective, a husband and wife decision, mutual decision, and so on and forth. But the messaging in this word saying I have allowed, for generations, the women in our families didn't work, and now I have allowed them. And there are many examples, not just them working, but bodily autonomy as well. So what do you say to that? What do you say about this messaging and this narrative?
I think, honestly, at the this is, I mean, what I want to say, I'm like debating in my mind, do I say it? But I feel like
Say it.
men are such hypocrites. They're not just entitled, they are also hypocrites, and progressive men are the worst, and I'm not saying,
Exactly. That is my
right,
point.
right. And I'm not saying that all progressive men are, there are some, but their numbers are so little that it is minuscule. Okay, so we will not be considering them. They're there. Thank God for you guys out there who who you are. But we are talking about a majority of men. And this term that you use, selective wokeness, I completely agree with it, which is why I'm saying that I think like at least men who are in your face, they say that we do not believe in women's freedom, and like at least how to counter them. But what do you do with hypocrite progressive men who are all like feminists, but who would um uh like indirectly or directly would make you feel that, oh, look at me, I'm progressive, I am, I have. But the underlying this, there is that sentiment like, I have allowed. you know you don't need to stress that point, to be an ally, to be somebody like who believes in equality. You just do it quietly, silently. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to write you're a feminist in your bio. It's all right, you don't have to. So
We
I
have to
think,
normalize it.
yeah, I
Staying
mean,
quiet means normalize it.
exactly, normalize it, show it in your actions. Don't show it on social media. We don't want you to show it on social media. We want you to show it in your daily life, in your dealings with your wife, in your dealings, and that, we talk about, there is this term called unconscious biases, which is used in a corporate setting. But I think, our family lives, our lives are filled with this unconscious, biases, unconscious socialization, that which is why men, even like for them to be a feminist is something like to be proud of. But as you're saying, it's a normal thing. You don't have to be a feminist, you just have to believe in equality, and you have to make it an everyday part of your life. I mean, you have to be very conscious about it, because of the unconscious biases. You have to be very conscious about it. So don't talk about it on social media. I mean, look, I see so many men on social media proclaiming to be progressive and whatever, but at the end of the day, Sabine, I want, have you ever seen men on the streets fighting for women's rights? They don't need to, they can just join the fight, as allies. How many men are out there, fronting, any kind of, gender equality, initiatives? I mean, how many men are there? So it's very easy to, get into that mind space of savior. This is also a kind of a savior complex, but, it's counterproductive, and also, because of men like this, I think women also uh, are like, feel like, oh, I mean, so great, I have been allowed. They understand this, and maybe, but this allowed term is so normalized in our lives, especially, in South Asian countries, patriarchal countries. This allowed, it doesn't bother us anymore. But I feel like, we really need to unpack the emotions behind allowed. I mean, why do we need to be allowed to do anything? And why should we feel grateful for being allowed to do something? So I feel like, we really need to, what we don't do, Sabine, we don't examine our personal lives. We are okay to, we are absolutely fine, to make comments about, the world at large. But when it comes to looking inwards, we do not do that. We don't do that, neither men nor women. And I think that is what we need to do, is look inwards, examine our day-to-day behavior and course correct. Every day you course correct. That's how, real equality will be possible.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're about to finish, and I would like you to tell me about first hold the book. So I love it.
Oh, oops. I don't have the book with me.
I
Wow.
will. Yeah, I wanted you to do a reading as well, but it's absolutely fine. We can do that later, as in,
Yeah,
in another
sure.
session. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, but you know, any last words about the book? First of all, where we can get it, that would be amazing. And, uh, how it will impact our perception, because I think more and more books, uh, especially with this theme, should be there out there. Uh, because uh, of the burden of this term superwoman, that is not just imposed on us, but we impose on ourselves as well. Even, I myself impose it on, me, that,
Yeah.
I have this and this and this, you know unconsciously, we're
You
doing that.
do so much. I do not know how you do it all. And I will not call you a superwoman. And you have to
Yeah.
stop being a superwoman as well.
Yeah, I am going to take a back seat after
Yes.
this event, because it's been nuts. So
I just recently gifted the book to a young colleague of mine. And when I gifted her the book and I said that, listen, you have not come to this stage as yet. And inside, I wrote for her that just so you don't become a superwoman. just, just
yeah,
warning you right, before you get into that
absolutely.
stage.
No,
Don't
absolutely.
be. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So where can we get
Oh,
book?
I think you can get it on Amazon right now, if you're not in India. Of course, in India, it's available in the bookstores as well. But I think, Amazon is great for everybody. And just one, just if I may, just say one last thing about the book. For me, writing is about community. And the reason, I started, writing these books is because not many places want to there is no sustained focus on gender, like in mainstream media. It only happens during International Women's Day, or if something has happened, right? So but there were things that I wanted to say, which and a book is like forever, right? Even if today people are not reading it, someday they will read it. So like with my like this book, I wanted to the conversation I started with Lies Our Mothers Told Us. I wanted to continue that conversation. And as I say, Sabine, that I feel like women, there is so much of trust deficit between women that has been created by society, very deliberately, because women, when they come together, that power, I think men are really scared of that power. Which is why women have always in our families you will see that the dictats are passed through women, right? So we end up like hating our mothers when we are growing up in our formative years, although the dictats have been passed on to her maybe by our fathers or our grandfathers, or like some male members of the family, right? Or they're carrying the burden of those expectations. So I wanted to start a conversation and I wanted to build a community. And I feel that every woman, who reads these books, by default becomes a part of this community. The How Not to Be a Superwoman is dedicated to all members of the No More a Superwoman Club. And I hope that the club, gets more and more members. And, like we just become a very organic community, a support group for each other.
Absolutely, I agree with you, and I'm one of the members as well, founding member.
Oh, you are an honorary founding member.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Niranjana, for this amazing conversation. Always a delight speaking to you, whether in a festival or on WhatsApp. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and take it easy.
I will. I will.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And all the best for the rest of the festival.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.